and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Oh, he's trying to give me the gavel. I don't need it. The regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals in Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. Tonight we have 3 cases and some other business that we'll get to later. The very first case is Rambaldi Family LLC, 120R Water Street, and I will have the clerk read the ad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Case number 4132, the Plymouth Zoning Board of Appeals on the zoning bylaw will hold a public hearing in the Great Hall, Town Hall, 26 Court Street, Plymouth, Mass. On Monday, September 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to hear the petition of Rambaldi Family LLC requesting a special permit required per section 203-9C to expand a pre-existing non-conforming structure per section 203-7J to waive number of required parking spaces per section 205-15DH and dimensional table to waive side and rear setback to construct a replacement retail building on the property at 120R Water Street, shown as Lot 110A through Z on Plat 117 of the Assessor's Maps dated January 1st, 2023 in a DH zone. The petitioner or his or her representative and any other person desiring to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place designated.
Thank you. Seated on this case will be Mr. Leary, Mr. O'Reilly, Mr. Connor, and Mr. Conroy, and myself. Who will be representing?
Peter Hale from Associated Engineers of Plymouth, here representing Rambaldi Family Trust in their special permit application. I'm here tonight with the owner, Mr. Rambaldi, the architect, Bill Fornaciari, and the civil engineer, Bill Shaw. So we're applying tonight for a special permit to expand a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The structure you see in the picture there. It was taken down, let's see, well, it was taken down in December of 2023. The reason it was determined to take it down is because of damage that the building suffered during the construction on Water Street. We have, we are seeking to put an enlarged building in the place of the previous building. The previous building was about 19 feet by 20 feet, and we're proposing to replace that building with a 24-foot by 24-foot building. The original building was about 12 feet high. We're proposing the building to be, let's see, it's 27 feet high, and 33 feet to the top of a cupola that's on the roof. The setbacks on that, if you look at that picture on the right-hand side, there's about a 1.7-foot setback from the property line to the eave of that building, and there's about a 1.16-foot setback on the back of the building from the property line. The other property line's the one that's facing us, and the one to the left. The one facing us has 19 feet of setback, and that doesn't come all the way to Water Street. That goes to a property line that's in the middle of the lot there, and 86 feet out to Chilton Street. We've been to the Plymouth Center Steering Committee. We got a positive recommendation for us with a reservation about the second story for that building. We've been to the planning board, and we had a positive recommendation from the planning board, which I'll get into later. Let's see. We are proposing no parking. There was no parking for the existing building. The area, I guess that, the area to the left of the building is a area where there's picnic tables and people come in and sit down. They buy something from Ziggy's and they eat behind the building. Sit down and rest, and then go back on their walking tour. That's a sideways picture of the picnic tables, and it also shows the planting that goes on behind the retaining walls on the property line. That's actually the side lot line, and the planting that exists behind the apartment building, which is on the same lot as this property and Ziggy's. Let's see. The existing building, or the new building, we've taken the roof drainage, the roof runoff, and put that into galleys that'll be in front of that building towards us. Those are the improvements that will be made to the property. We hope that the board will determine, as the planning board did, that the proposed construction is an appropriate use in the downtown harbor mixed-use district, that there are adequate and appropriate facilities in place for the existing uses and the proposed structure. The proposed structure will use the existing sewer, water, electric, and gas connections that the previous building utilized. The proposed structure does not constitute a substantive change in the use and is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the previous non-conforming use or structure. As conditioned, the proposed structure does not significantly affect abutting uses and buildings. The proposed height is less than the 35-foot maximum allowed. The mass of the structure is reasonable for the proposed setback and consistent with the development patterns in the area. And as the planning board has conditioned, the proposed structure will not negatively affect future use of abutting land. I'd like, Rusty Romboldi would like to address the board.
Hi, my name is Rusty Romboldi, or Russell Romboldi, and I am the petitioner here tonight. I am asking the board to grant permission to construct a new building slightly larger, about 4 feet approximately each way, with a second floor to provide extra storage, an office, and the previous building didn't have a bathroom, so it made it difficult for a tenant to run a business when they would put a sign on the door and say, be back in 5 minutes, gone to the bathroom. So I thought adding a bathroom would be beneficial for a future tenant, or if I end up running it myself, it'll definitely be helpful. The previous building was damaged during the sewer project, and the building department determined it unsafe for occupancy. I don't want to get into that whole project, the whole sewer project, but I can't tell you how detrimental it was to my business. Waking up every morning, having tenants call you in the middle of the night, and then have all that damage done to your property. At this point, I haven't had a lot of it repaired yet because we haven't received any funds. So this new proposed building will, some of the storage from the new building, if granted, would be for when we renovate or remodel the apartment building that was damaged. I can use this as some storage area while we're doing some construction on the big apartment building. In 2020, I remodeled Pebbles Restaurant on Water Street across from the Mayflower. I used the same team, Bill Fornashari and Associated Engineers, for that building. At that location, we added a second story to that building as well. And the overwhelming feedback that we received from that building was extremely positive. So I just wanted to bring that up. I care about the waterfront. My family's been doing business on Water Street since the 1930s. My family owned Townbrook Service Station, my grandfather. My sister owns the Water Street Cafe. I run Ziggy's and Pebbles. So collectively, we've been down on Water Street for almost 90 years. So it is a concern of mine to do something that's going to conform to the community. And I think that this building will be monumental improvement from what was there. What was there because we had it and we made the best of it. But under the circumstances where we had to remove the building, I think that this is an opportunity to put something that's more enlightening, looks better, have some nice windows, some nice curb appeal, and people will look at it and say, oh, let's go into that shop, or let's look at what's there versus what was there. Our previous tenants had a tendency to leave after 5 or 6 years, so we never had any long-standing tenants. It was a paint shop, an artist shop. It was a psychic shop. It was a ghost tour shop. It was the last use was beef jerky. So a little bit bigger of a building will allow for a tenant to prosper there versus what was there. So I'm hopeful that you will approve this building. I've received I got some emails today from Associated Engineers on my abutters. I wish I had a chance to talk to them earlier. None of them came over and approached me. I believe the building behind me, they moved in 2020, and I don't think the occupants in that building are always there. I think they're seasonal. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't see these people that often. And some of the complaints, I think that maybe their view will be altered a little bit, but I don't think that it's going to change any of their values in their buildings. And I think that the new building will add value to everyone. Thank you.
The board members, any questions? Yes, sir.
Rusty, could I ask you a question? So you have 2 years to build the building if we grant the permit. you need the funds from the town to reimburse you or whoever's at fault to build this building?
That is something, I haven't looked into the cost of what the construction would be, but I know we haven't received any funds yet.
That's my
I would,
concern
I
for you,
would,
is
I would
that
like
it-
it to have some extra time with that,
Because
if
what I don't want to have
possible.
happen is we grant this money to you,
Mhm.
and then your 2 years run out. Because a lot of times, dealing with town litigation, it takes, if it's a superior court action, it's going to take 5 to 7 years to resolve. And so that's a long time, and knowing what's gone on, I don't know if you'll be, I don't want to be a pessimist, but you may be 4 to 5 years out from now to get a penny.
Right, I understand
And so I
that.
don't want you to go forward with this and then have the permit lapse on you.
It can be extended.
It can be extended, but then he's got to hire Mr. Hale, he's got to come in here, more filings, and the poor guy totally got railroaded, in my opinion, and I just don't want him to get railroaded again. So I just wanted to be aware of that.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Fornicherry would like to say a few words about the proposed,
Hold on a second. Yes.
I'm sorry.
So if the same thing happens again as the architect, is there some type of structural integrity that you're adding so that this doesn't happen again? So Rusty doesn't go
Well,
through this again?
What happened to the existing building is there were large cracks in the concrete block wall above ground level. The building was largely concrete block on the side and the back, and it was those joints that were coming apart. I'm not sure what kind of damage that there was inside the building.
I'm asking is, you're building a new building. Is it going to be prepared for another
Yes.
problem like this?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, the new building will be, it won't be a block building, it'll have a footing, it'll be more structurally sound.
Is there anyone else?
May I just ask Bill if he has anything that he wants to add about the building?
Good evening, Bill Fornishire from BF Architects. I just want to show you what the building is going to look like. So when Mr. Imboli approached us, he had a few requirements he asked us to look at. Increase his retail space, provide a bathroom for his employees or tenants that would rent the space, provide him storage for the tenant as well as Ziggy's, which is now in the apartment building, which when that has to be repaired, he'll lose all his storage in that building, so we're providing for storage in this building for Ziggy's. And the last thing he asked us to do was be able to get him through historic district. So what my firm did was look at historic precedents for buildings on this site. There's a barn of almost the exact same proportions at 13 Chilton Street. So we've taken the proportions of the barn at 13 Chilton Street and recreated it here in order to get through historic district. We've used a historic precedent of a building about this size for Mr. Ramboldi. Materials, we're hoping to do white trim, white cedar shingles, but we still have to go in front of historic district at this point to get their final approval.
Did you look at some of the conditions of this permit, and they wanted to change from 12 pitch to a 10 pitch?
Yep, we did. We've made those changes. This is the original submission. We don't have an issue with the 10 pitch from the 12. This is still showing the 12. I do have another drawing that Peter wasn't able to upload in time, but we've lowered the pitch per
How
planning
much
board.
did that lower the roof?
About 3 feet.
So that took the cupola and everything down about 3 feet?
Yeah, we took it, yeah, it all comes down about 3 feet.
Okay.
No, I had the same questions as you, thank you.
Question?
Yeah, okay, so from what I'm hearing, because this is one of my questions was going to be, so what is going to be the use in this? Is it still going to be retail? And why do you need to add the second floor?
The second floor has storage.
You have to come to the microphone.
So the need for the second floor is, over the last 15 years, we've had 5 tenants in there. So it's been a hard rental, and we always haven't had the tenants that we liked. I think that the extra storage will be more attractive to a tenant. Definitely having a bathroom will be very beneficial for the employees working there. And the extra storage for, whatever kind of retail location it is. And then when I do some renovations on the apartment building, that storage will provide, that will be an area I can move my belongings and still stay open for business.
I do have a question for the. I also have a building for the commissioner. I thought it was gonna be Jason. Okay, so now with the ADUs, available in town, and it is, you can do it in the downtown harbor front district, right? Because it's on its own singular lot, could an ADU go there? I'm kind of worried about that.
I do not believe so. It'd have to be a single-family dwelling on that property.
In other words, this would end up being the primary use, so an ADU couldn't be put in there.
That's correct.
And I don't see, there would be no reason why we couldn't condition this not to be used for residential.
I believe you could.
I'm not sure what an ADU is, but there's no plans to have this be residential.
I'm gonna tell you, we always hear that, and then somewhere down the road, everybody forgets there's no plans, So I'm just saying, it's just one of the things that if we decide to pass it, I definitely want it conditioned in there, because that wouldn't be a good place for that.
No.
You.
Trust me, I've got 7 tenants in the apartment building. I don't want another.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, because I've got to look at what could go there. And I kind of had the feeling that if it was on, because this is a lot of its own, it would become the principal, which I don't see how the ADU could go there, but I wanted to make sure, because now small buildings can be ADUs, so.
Peter? Okay. Have you anything else that you would like to add?
I think we covered most of what.
Okay. I'm going to open this up to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? Ms. Demand. But before you get going, Ms. Demand, I will remind you of one thing. There is no protection for view shed in the bylaw or anywhere else. And I think even the planning board knows that, so. Go right ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. My name is Frank Mand. My partner and I, Charles Hill, live at 20 Chilton Street, which is directly behind Ziggy's and the area and Mamma Mia's there. I'm not a lawyer and I have not consulted one, but I believe there are legal and/or regulatory reasons for rejecting this special permit and the waivers it requires. First, it seems to run afoul of what I've read of the powers test, which, among other things, says that a use is considered to be a change from a protected use and impermissible if there is a difference in the quality or character, as well as the degree, between the resulting use and the originally protected use. A demolished nonconforming structure could be rebuilt, but only if the new structure maintains the same level of nonconformity as the original, meaning it cannot become significantly larger, taller, or have a more impactful use on the surrounding area. The present use of the site as an ice cream snack business is already deficient in terms of parking, and additional parking spaces would certainly be needed to support an expansion of that use. The present configuration and layout, even if you included the one-floor jerky store, also contributes to the value of adjacent residential and commercial enterprises, as they have long-standing views of the waterfront and harbor, which would be obstructed if a two-floor expansion of the jerky store would be permitted. Safety, I believe, is also a concern. The proposed building site is almost on top of the site of a sinkhole that appeared last year, as the town excavated Water Street in order to relocate sewer pipes. There are several structures adjacent to the site in question that still have large cracks in their foundations. We would not object to a reconstruction of a one-story structure that mimics the footprint and dimensions of the jerky store, but believe that a proposed expansion is not supported by the regulations and case law and should be rejected. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, please come to the microphone, identify yourself.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Charles Heller, as Frank mentioned. We own the house at 20 Chilton Street, directly behind. My comments were mostly about the loss of view, not because we particularly need to have a view, but we do run an Airbnb business that depends on our having a view. So can I speak to that?
You can speak to anything that you like. This is America.
But it does have to do with the view. In 2018, we looked for a property that we could live in and also generate an income. I'm 72 years old, and finding a job outside of my home seemed an impossibility. We found the former Seabreeze Bed and Breakfast was up for sale, and we purchased that in 2018. Since that time, we've had 977 reviews, which translates into about 1,500 nights of guests. And that ends up being about 3,000 people who have stayed at our Airbnb. They come to Plymouth because of the history. Our house is an 1845 Victorian, and people love it, but they mainly come because our house has a very sweet view of the harbor. Now, that may seem like viewshed and unimportant, but to us, it's key to our business. As Frank mentioned, we don't have a problem with Mr. Rumboldi replacing the building that was damaged, but I do ask you to consider the impact to our business. And I would also like to just urge caution. You've mentioned it. Our backyard parking area has a sinkhole in it that's in line with the damage that was done to Mamma Mia's and to the little jerky store. We just heard from Lee Hartman a couple days ago that the Water Street line that was just replaced is now sunk 6 inches, and the street is going to have to be torn up again and those lines replaced. You can check that with Lee Hartman. That's what he told us. That says to me, and seeing what's going on in our own yard, that area is still shifting and is going to be a continual problem. So just wanted to, again, urge caution, and please consider the impact to our business. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I am going to close public comment and bring it back for board discussion only. Gentlemen. Yes, you.
No, I mean,
Well, yes. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I guess we're not asking for a special permit for use, and the special permits that we are seeking are permits that the zoning department indicated that we needed in order to go forward with this project. So we don't feel that, that by granting this special permit, that we're doing anything wrong or out of the ordinary. That's all.
I have, Mr. Rimboli, I have a question for you, and it pertains to what Ed talked about. If, in the event this permit is granted, will you move forward with construction within the 2-year period?
Yes.
No matter what the town...
My intentions would be to...
No matter what the ramifications from funding for the town and all of that, because Mr. Conroy brought up a very good point. This permit can be extended, but it can also be changed, and things change. So,
My intentions would be to move forward within the 2-year period.
okay. Yes, Mr. Conroy.
So the bill, maybe this is for Jason or for you. So I was unaware that this new situation has occurred with the sinking of the line 6 inches. Do you know anything about this?
Building department wouldn't be able to comment on that.
So from our perspective, our main goal as a zoning board is to provide a safe decision. That goes back to Roosevelt when he put into the law of the zoning. So we have a person here that's in front of our board and like to build two stories up. And now we have a situation, and the shifting of the ground has caused millions of dollars worth of damages. Millions. It's cost this guy a lot of money for his business, a taxpayer, regular Joe, just like myself. So if the town has any knowledge of what's going on before he goes and spends money building, if there's going to be more problems at the site, we'd like to know before he moves forward. And so, Jason, do you know of any knowledge of what's going on there? All right. So I find this, as a board, very disturbing, this new news, that we're being asked to approve a permit here that possibly is going to be unsafe, and the town does know something more than we know as a board. And so we represent the town, and I'm unsure on the knowledge we have. I'm uncomfortable dealing with this unsafe situation. I don't think we should deny his permit, but I think I'd like to possibly have some more information from the town. Is this going to be fixed or not? And the building department's saying we can't tell you because of litigation. And should we go into an executive session to find out what's up? I mean, this is litigation. It's going on for 5 to 7 years. We have knowledge that it's not fixed.
I agree with what you're saying. The only problem is,
I don't think...
you're
we
in
have
a
the-
paradox here, because
Yeah.
if he's only got, because it was taken down due to damage, he's only got 2 years to reconstruct for non-conforming use, and there would be a non-conforming structure too.
Yeah.
The use actually wouldn't be because it's retail. But anyways, he's only got 2 years to do that, under that. 1 year if he took it down, how would I say it, with no problems, you know. But he's only got 2 years, so if he doesn't have a permit from us, he's gonna have to put the building back what it was within 2 years period. You see what I'm saying?
I know,
So-
but say from our standpoint, we're granting a permit here,
Right.
and we're subject to liability, our board. We're on notice that we have a problem here that's continuing. And are we gonna, we represent the board. We have the town.
Well, I guess, so the two choices are here, he's gotta do something within 2 years. well, if we pass it, he's got 2 years from this date, but, actually, is it 3 now? Did we extend our time period?
It's still 2.
Still 2? Okay, so he's only got 2 years from the date we pass it. He had 2 years from the day he took it down if we don't do something. So what I'm saying is, I know what you're saying. I'm saying, though, is if we don't act, okay, then the other side of that coin is he's got to put back the building as it was. That's
So
simple.
the fact that he's filed a permit, an application, and isn't that 2-year stayed if we decide to not act on it and continue it?
No.
We have to act on it.
No, the
we
use,
can delay
it's
it.
in
We have the right to delay it.
203-9.
We can delay it for as long as we want.
uh,
It's not like a 40B.
Well,
It's,
actually-
it's like every permit, we
I-
have time
I-
constraints, period.
understand.
And we have to act on it, period.
All right. Unless we're requested to continue it.
Well, we haven't heard a.
I understand, but I'm trying to figure out a difficult situation, Buster, where we got litigation going on. It's gonna cost millions of dollars. And we're asking a taxpayer here to, go build your building, and you might be throwing more money away because we can't tell you what's going on.
Oh, I'd agree with that. And again, I'll go back to the 203. In 203, it says he's got 2 years, period. That's it. And it's done, under non-conforming use. So if we don't give him some kind of permit, I'm not saying whether we should or shouldn't, but if we don't, right, he's got to put back the building as was. Otherwise, he loses that protection under the bylaw, period. Although, a question for the commissioner was if he was to come back for a special permit after the 2-year extension, the 2 years that he has protection, right? Can the zoning board still give him permission? Because the other thing on this lot doesn't even meet the minimum lot size. So if he goes beyond that 2 years, I think he'd be,
Loses everything.
yeah,
Right, I believe he would lose that protection.
Yeah, he loses everything.
right.
So-
And then he can't even make a lot of this. This isn't even 5,000 square feet. So,
It becomes a non-conforming.
right, exactly. He can't build it. So I guess I understand what Ed's saying. I don't know where you'd go with it otherwise. Or we just let him go and he's gonna have to put back what was in.
Yes,
Go ahead, Kel.
Or Mr. Ramboldi takes the risk. I mean, he's taking the risk to build this while the lawsuit's going on. Now, I understand what you're saying, Ed, but
I haven't seen any movement on my property, and
we can only vote on the situation as it exists, as we know it right now.
Yeah, but the town won't tell us.
Well, because that wasn't part of the petition. Town won't tell us how much snow we're gonna have either,
No,
because they don't know.
listen, Buster. The town knows we have a problem,
Yes,
and it's getting worse. We got 6 inches, and the town will not tell the taxpayer what the risk is. We won't tell the taxpayer what the current risk is. So I agree with Kevin. If you want to go forward, this is a great lawsuit for Mr. Emboldi, that's for sure.
Michael,
So,
yes, sir.
can I just comment on the case that's before?
sure.
I think it's way too much for that piece of property. I'm not inclined to support it at all.
Okay.
And I know people aren't necessarily entitled to a view, but when I look at how it's going to be and I know how it's been, I think it's just too much.
Okay.
Well, as I stated before, I guess if you don't want to give them the permit, this special permit, then it's going to boil down to, you're going to have to put it up the way it was, because otherwise you're going to lose the status under the protection of 203-9, the pre-existing non-conforming use, you're going to lose that protection, period, that's it. Because the lot size doesn't even meet the minimum lot size. So I guess that's where we're at. We got to decide whether the board moves forward and Andy either says yes.
Okay. Have you anything else to add?
I haven't had any movement on the property in the last, since they've stopped doing the work on the road. I haven't heard anything about anything, ground movement, 6 inches, pipes. That's new news to me. I'd really love to put my building back. I mean, I've been through hell and back, and I really would appreciate a vote to put something that I think benefits the area, helps a business go in and be successful, has a bathroom for their employees. I think it fits the area. I did a building, across from the Mayflower Pebbles, and I think it came out wonderfully. I had pushback on that too, but since it's been done, I've gotten nothing but compliments and saying how wonderful and what an improvement it was compared to what it was before.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
that's why it's before.
All right, I'm going to close it and bring it right to just the board members. Peter, have you anything else you would like to add?
No, no.
Okay. Michael?
Well, I mean, the way I see it here is, I understand what Ed's saying, and I kind of agree, except for it's a paradox, he's got to do something, so I guess it's up to us whether we want to see this go forward, having the second floor on it, and the way he's gonna, and increase it 2 feet in each direction. That would be the main thing. If he wants to take the risk of building it, it would be up to him. And, if the town destroys the new building, well, guess what? We're gonna be responsible for that. I mean, I don't know, again, he's gonna have to put something up pretty quick, because otherwise you're gonna lose that under the pre-existing, so.
And your feelings on the size and the height?
I've been going back and forth on it, to be honest with you.
So,
I definitely, if we were to pass it, I definitely want the, no residential use in it, for sure.
I wrote it right down.
Oh, okay. I mean, I went through everything else. I mean, the uses that could go there, there's really only a couple that fit. There's a lot of uses you can put there. Restaurants, retail, those are fine. That's what should be there. The only ones that I questioned was accessory dwelling, because that's new. You could put in childcare or a barber shop and stuff, which requires parking. I'm not too sure I like that, but,
And public bathrooms.
yeah, well, town could do that. But all in all, I don't know. Let's see what the board thinks as a whole.
I don't have a problem with expanding the footprint slightly. I'm still concerned about the height. I'm glad to see that you agreed to drop it. It still seems a little high for that parcel of land, so, but I also understand everything that you've been through. And I also understand from your comments that you seem willing to take the risk, given everything that's happened down there. And Bill is, well, I'm guessing you've got that second floor about as low as you can go. Okay.
So we have a situation where the buyer's willing to take, or the builder's willing to take the risk. So he's on notice that the town is, it's shifting, and that they're gonna have to replace the road again. You know that, we just heard that, But we heard it from a non-town official. So that's kind of like hearsay if we were in court. So it's non-binding, so let's assume that it's correct. So the bill, you are totally on notice that this may happen again. And so buyer beware. In relation to this board, that just goes with any, when you buy a home, you get an inspection done. Buyer beware. You've got to do your own due diligence. And before I would put before I put a shovel in the ground, I'd make sure that what's going to happen, whether that's going to be built. Because again, if they're going to have to redo the road, that's what caused all the trouble the first time. They redid the road, and this happened again. And so, if they got to redo the road again, obviously something's wrong. So I think if you're willing to take the risk, that's your risk, and you're on notice. In relation to the height, I think that you may not get approved tonight with the height. We have people that are saying that Mr. Leary is wishy-washy about the height, it seems like. You know about Mr. Leary about being wishy-washy, you know what I'm saying? So that's wishy-washy. So we know how Peter feels, and I want you to get your building. I do, badly. Because, however, I don't think that if you do the two stories, it's not going to get approved, I don't think, tonight. So I think you got to think on your feet right now with your architect. I'm okay with expanding the side of it, but how I look at the board, you're not going to get 2 stories possibly tonight. You may change your idea and say, I'd like to give us 1 story. But as of right now, I don't think you're going to get it. So I'm going to go with what the board majority feels here. But I do wish you'd probably lower that to 1 to get this approved tonight, but that's your call. So I'm gonna hold off on my decision until I'm gonna be the last to vote, and I hope that he brings it down to 1 to get this
Well,
approved.
Here it is in the nutshell. This project was advertised a certain way, period. We can make minor adjustments, but to take a whole story off or to do anything like that is not a minor adjustment. That's a major change.
But
So
they
we,
could do it.
pardon me?
They could do it.
So they can request it.
They can request to do it, but then we have to see the plans and everything. We can't just,
Oh, no,
so.
No argument.
That could be. Now, that being one thing, the second thing is, I spent a lot of time down there today, and I even took the plans and laid them out and did the whole thing and sat there. The change in the size of the building, the footprint, is not really substantial, in my opinion, having built a lot of buildings. And the height where they dropped it 3 feet, as I said to Mr. Mand, and everybody heard, we have no bylaw that says there's a view shed protection. And so if we were to say we want that dropped for somebody's view, that could be a lawsuit in and of itself, because we have no ground. We don't have standing on that in reality. So they were gracious enough or agreeable enough to drop it down 3 feet. If the cupola went away, that wouldn't bother me at all. And that's a minor change if the cupola went away. But the rest of it, I'm okay with, because it's a business. It needs to, all businesses need to be able to grow. And when a catastrophe happens and they want to rebuild and do something, I think it's up to us to try and encourage them to do that as a community. And I really believe that maybe we could kind of suggest that the cupola go away and leave the rest of it just the way it is. But that's just my opinion. Wait, whoa. This is between the board only. I don't care. Sorry, Ed. But that's just pretty much the way I feel. I hope you understand, Peter, that it is what it is. I know it's a lot, but even still.
Yeah, and I didn't say my decision was because of the view. I think, I don't blame anyone for wanting the view. I think it's too much mass for that little spot, period. And it should be like it was, or like it is right now, which is beautiful with the benches and everything back there.
Okay. Michael?
As far as what thought I went through. Yeah, again, you know, I looked at it, went through it. I mean, I thought about the youth.
cupola now.
The cupola? Oh, I don't, be honest with you, I don't really care about that. I mean, it's not that big, to be truthful with you. The only things I would probably like to see is that it, because if it does have the second floor, and actually I could ask the building inspector, could he have two uses in there or no?
Besides retail,
As far as any business, could he have two retails in there or just one?
well, as long as he meets parking requirements and the use requirements of that district, it's possible he could have another use in there.
Could we condition it that it only be allowed to have one use?
I believe so.
I know we can.
Okay, because I mean, I probably want that and the residential if I was gonna vote for it. And again, you know, if the board decides to go forward, at least it gives them the 2 years from today's date, but.
All right, anything else? Okay, I'm going to take, if the board is okay, the unusual step of asking the proponent a question.
Oh, you can do it, sure, a board member can do that.
Mr. Rambaldi, please come to the microphone. If you were to lose the cupola, would that affect your decision to build there?
I'm comfortable losing the cupola. It
Per-
wouldn't affect, I'm not opposed to removing the cupola.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank
All right. And the reason I ask that is that a lot of you guys know where I live, and I live 90 feet from the edge of the ocean on a cliff, and because of circumstances and erosions, they moved a 35-foot house right in front of mine. Which, hey, I don't love it, but there is no protection for the view. There isn't. So by taking this cupola off, maybe it'll soften the blow a little bit. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So with that, I ask the board, are you ready to make a decision? Gentlemen, all those in favor of this?
Oh,
Oh,
somebody's
wait a
gonna
minute.
make-
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make sure we've got 7 conditions, it looks like now.
And I would like the condition of just one primary use, or one use.
I've got number 5 being no ADU living space.
Well, no residential.
Yeah, all right. No, I can change that wording. Number 6, only one use. And number 7, remove cupola.
Yep.
Those, all right, all those
Uh,
in favor?
Somebody's gonna make it.
Yes, well, go ahead, Michael.
I'll make a motion that we accept case number 4132 with the 7 conditions.
I'll second that.
Okay. see, changes, all right. I have a motion by Michael and a second by Kevin to approve case number 4132 with 7 conditions. All those in favor? Opposed? Did you-
Yeah, he raised it.
Okay. The petition is approved. You can move forward. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next case. And that's Scranton Holdings at 101 Carver Road. I don't believe there's a, is there a? Yes. Yes, there is. I will have, let's let the room clear. I am.
Case number 4133. The Plymouth Zoning Board of Appeals on the zoning bylaw will hold a public hearing in the Great Hall, Town Hall, 26 Court Street, Plymouth, Mass. On Monday, September 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to hear the petition of Scranton Holdings Corporation requesting a special permit required per Section 203-3 D4D to construct a freestanding sign less than 10 feet from a street layout on the property of 101 Carver Road, shown as Lot 1-29 on Plat 105 of the Assessor's Maps dated January 1, 2023, in a GC zone. The petitioner or his or her representative and any other person desiring to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place designated.
Good evening.
It's on. Oh, that soft green light. Is that better? Okay, sorry. Again, Bill Sims on behalf of Scranton Holdings, the petitioner in this particular matter, and with me tonight is Don Bracken, Bracken Engineering, and if needed, we have representation from ownership here, if any questions arise that may be pertinent to the petition as it relates to ownership. This is a petition for a special permit for an additional freestanding sign at the location that you can see above. Those of you who sat on a case a year ago, I think it was, maybe it may have been even 2020, I think it was 2022. Was it? Yeah, it was a year and a half ago. We petitioned this board for a freestanding pylon sign on the Carver Road side of the project. This is for a signage location which is located on Route 80, the Plimpton Roads side. If you're familiar with the site, you will know that that particular location has an entranceway which does not have any signage visible from the roadway. So this petition requires special permit from this board to locate the sign less than the required 10-foot minimum from the roadway. As Don will describe and show you as best we can the location of the sign, it really won't be visible if we were to comply with the current signage regulations. So it's really important to the petitioner and the public at large, honestly, to have that entranceway really well located and signage in place to see exactly where you can turn in there. Otherwise, you're going to go right by it and end up at the end of Route 80 and the intersection of Carver Road. I don't think there's a whole lot to this particular case. So with that in mind, absent questions at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Dawn to show you exactly the location and the dimensions of the sign proposed, and then we can deal with questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Don Bracken, Bracken Engineering. As Bill pointed out about a year and a half ago, I hope this is going to reach that, but we got a special permit to add a third sign up at the northwest corner, that entrance up there. The last sign we got approved was on the east side of that driveway, and it was 10 feet back from the right-of-way. After we got the approval, and then when they looked closer at it, went to construct it, realized the visibility wasn't appropriate for that, and there's a lot of vegetation to the east of where that sign was going to go. So the proposed sign location under this application is just on the opposite side of the driveway from the one you already approved, and as close to the street line as we could get it. One thing about this particular spot, it's a very wide layout for Plimpton Road, and you can see from the drawing, and we have the dimension on there, that where the proposed sign is at the edge of the right-of-way is still 38 feet from the actual roadway, so it's still set back pretty far. I think the last application, we're trying to avoid asking for a second special permit to be that close to the street line. One of the other restrictions, because we're less than the 10 feet, is we can't have a sign larger than 30 square feet in area. When the application was submitted, we submitted the old plan. We didn't catch that restriction at that time, but in the planning board's report, that's added in there as one of their recommendations, is to reduce the total sign area down to the 30 square feet. We did address the engineering department's comments. We submitted a letter to the planning board addressing their comments. We moved everything back about another 1.5 feet. They asked for a detail to make sure that the footing itself wasn't in the right-of-way, which it isn't, so we did move it back a little to accommodate that. One of the other things you may recall from the last meeting, there was a condition that we put the street number of 101 Carver Road on the sign that came through the planning board office. And I think, if I recall, when we came back to this board, you didn't require that, or we thought at that point that it wasn't a great idea, only because if we were going to put 101 Carver Road, which is the main building down in the southwest corner, it'd be very confusing to have the number 101 on Plimpton Road, and that doesn't go in order with the other numbers on Plimpton Road. So we didn't feel, that it was necessary to put that on there. I think, again, it's still in the planning board's recommendation, so we would ask you to consider that we don't put the street number on there. All those buildings have Carver Road addresses right now, so. And again, it's the same sign, we're just gonna shrink. The width will stay the same to get it down to the 30 square feet, so we'll just reduce the height what we need to get it to 30 square feet, but the same design. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes,
What was my question? Oh, so this is at the back door entrance for these places?
Yeah, near
The road-
Commerce
The little
Way.
road that goes around the back.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the main entrance with the large
And-
pylon sign is on Carver Road, as you can see in the,
And did you said something about 38 feet?
yeah. So
38
even
feet from what?
from the edge.
edge of the road?
Yeah, from the edge of the road. So here's the actual edge of the travel road, here's the intersection, this is where the sign is proposed. So it's 38 feet from the sign to the edge of the travel road. So, and it is all staked out. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to
And so-
go out there, but
And so why couldn't you go to the 15 and just be done with it?
the 15
Feet,
into the road?
the 15-foot requirement. You said you didn't want to meet the 15-foot requirement, right? You wanted 10 feet?
No, so we had it at 10 feet originally. Now we're asking for basically 1 foot to get it closer to the road so it's more visible from the road. So I'm not sure where the 15
Okay,
feet.
all right.
Yeah.
And more visible, there's nothing along there except a few pine trees.
On the
And they're not
east
very
side.
big.
Yeah, but the west side, there are some trees right along the street line. And it's not going to be entirely visible either until you get closer to that intersection.
And you really want people to use that, excuse me, that cow path that goes in behind the buildings?
Well, I think a lot of traffic is coming from that direction if they're at Commerce Park, or Commerce Way. They would be coming from that direction,
Okay.
yeah.
Just doesn't look like much of an entrance, that's all.
No, you probably, yeah.
It's got a little chute that goes into the liquor store there, and that's about it, okay.
I think what it
Okay,
does.
it's just surprising to me.
So
Mr. Connor,
this-
I think what it does, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. It does provide access from Plimpton Road where people try to avoid going all the way down to the intersection and wrapping around. But
You don't go to the intersection.
you can go to the second entrance, that's true.
You go to the
But-
main entrance on the side.
But we
You don't
have.
go to
inform-
Carver Road.
I think a lot of people do come in that back way, and I think the signage is important to the client, and if they're gonna go in that way anyway, they should know what's there. So I think that's probably part of the basis for our recommendation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't see why it has to be a monster sign there. That's all. They're all over the place. I don't know why you need another one.
How big is the sign on? Mark?
Yeah, I have a few questions for you, too. Okay, so how much bigger is this than the signs that exist in the other entrances?
I believe it's smaller than the other signs. I don't know, I don't have we didn't,
Because
run
I
those
saw your
measurements, but-
comparisons, but not to your own sign.
Yeah, well, basically 30 square feet is probably, not a huge sign compared to some of the other signs for some of the other properties in the area. So, it's less than 15 feet high, so I think it's probably shorter than most signs that are in that area.
Okay, another question would be, okay, so this is we already approved the one on that entrance, but the other side of the entrance.
Correct, and 10
Right.
feet further into the site.
My question to you is, why are you moving it? Because, in my opinion, I went out there, I saw it was marked, I saw where you had it staked. Okay, when I'm looking at your neighbor's property, Cranberry Crescent there, and there's a pine tree and a bunch of other stuff that I can see is gonna grow, and from that direction, I don't even think you're gonna be able to see this sign. At least on the other side of the road, I would think you'd have control, because you have control of those trees that are on your property. Why
Most
would
of
it
those
be-
trees are in the state layout, so, we could go to the state and try to get permission to take down those trees to improve the sight distance for the sign, but that could be difficult. I don't know how that process would go, but, yeah. But I agree with you, coming from that direction, and I mentioned that earlier, there are trees right along that street line that are gonna prohibit you from seeing that until you get closer to it.
I mean,
but-
it might help your case
Yeah.
if you're going north, because of the width of the road, you could probably see in. But I don't even see, your trees are gonna block this a little bit too, where it is.
Yeah, that's true. I think the owners feel that that's gonna give them the best visibility to get people to know where the site is. But like I said, it would be better on the side that it's already approved, strictly coming from that direction. But I think this works out better for both directions, even though not as good as the Commerce Way direction from where it's currently approved. So, it's a tough spot to try to sign. I don't think there's a perfect solution there.
I don't really have a problem with this, but why are you putting it sort of at the back door entrance rather than down the entrance down by Papagino's? Don't
It
you?
has one.
No, I know
It
it
has
has one, but it's not.
That's not a fantastic sign either,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
but yeah, I think,
That's right.
I think,
Right, that's
yeah,
why I asked
yeah,
the question.
I think the G-Pub is, maybe, correct, if you want to say a few things about but the G-Pub is the main attraction there, you know what I mean? So I think the new sign for that is what they're looking for.
And second question relates to condition 6 from the planning board regarding internal traffic and signage. What thoughts have you given to that?
Yeah, actually, there were signs and striping added since that last meeting. If I recall, there was no indication on whether it was one-way or two-way, and now there are one-way paintings on the ground, and there's a do not enter sign there. So some steps have been taken, I think, to clarify that. So I believe when you enter, you can't take a left and go behind that building to the north. You have to go straight. I believe that was the concern of the board, so, at that time.
I'm all set, thank you.
Could you do anything else, Mr. Sims?
Just in case the board wanted to hear from Kirk, he's available to address any questions. Did you have anything in particular you wanted to address that you heard of? The need for the sign?
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
The need for the sign is something that you hit on yourself. The sign over by Papa Gino's is something that, you know, you can easily go by, just because it is masked based on I guess, the hills that are right there. So the hope would be that people would see that there was another point of access to the plaza and be beneficial not only to G-Pub, but also the other tenants in the plaza.
Anything else?
I said for a long time, they wouldn't let us through back there. They had it roped off.
Do you remember when they took all the trees down along there? When it was Volta's? We got into so much trouble, and it wasn't us.
I know.
It was the state.
They're getting big again.
Oh, we got into a lot of trouble over that property already. If you have nothing else, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this petition? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to, have you anything else, Mr. Sims?
I do not, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Either one, none of you have anything? Okay, all right. Just, I want to make sure we got it all on the record here, Bob.
I believe we covered everything and addressed the board's questions, so I think we're good at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And you're happy, Mr. Bracken?
Well, unless you want more clarification, I'm happy to stand up here rather than have it closed and then questions asked late afterwards, but I think we're okay, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to bring it back for board discussion only. Mr. Conley,
I'm fine with the sign.
Mr. O'Reilly,
I'm good.
Michael,
Yeah, I don't have any problems with them moving it from one side to the other. I mean, it's already been approved for the other side. I definitely question it because now the neighbor, you know, the trees that are on that side are gonna grow big too. But I don't have a problem. Boy, I'll tell you, the one thing when I went out there looking at the other signs, because they're in the middle of the thing, it looks like they're using them for demolition derby. Christ, there's so many dents in the bottom of that thing, I can't believe it, you know? But anyways, yeah, I don't have a problem moving it to the other side.
Okay.
you're all set? Okay, I await the board's pleasure.
I will make a motion, where the hell is it? That we approve case number 4133 with the 5 conditions listed.
Is there only 5?
Yep.
There's
Oh, wait a
8
minute.
conditions.
8 conditions.
Yeah. And we were gonna talk about
What?
let's
Yeah.
talk about these conditions,
Right.
I'm missing.
because
Yeah.
the petitioner asked to remove number 7.
Yeah, I don't have any problem removing number 7.
Neither do I. I think it's kind of confusing for the fire department.
I agree.
I see what I'm doing.
Are you okay with removing?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, we recently went through this at the airport, and it really had nothing to do with the airport. It was the mail and the fire department worked it out, you know?
Yeah,
And getting them to agree was a problem.
yeah.
Because they say they made it better, and they've made it worse for the fire department.
So,
Stay out of it.
you okay with removing? All right, so we've looked at the conditions. Any other conditions that are? Okay. Now, I await the board's pleasure. We will be, Denise will remove condition number 7.
Need a second?
I-
I'll second it if you need a second.
Yes, I do, Peter. Okay, I have a motion to approve case 4133 and a second, a motion by Michael and a second by Peter. Connor, all those in favor? It is unanimous. Go ahead and build your sign. And lastly, case number 4134, NH Properties, 693 State Road. Who will be presenting?
Want me to read the,
Oh, yes, please. Yeah, we need to read the legal ad.
Case number 4134, the Plymouth Zoning Board of Appeals on the zoning bylaw will hold a public hearing in the Great Hall, Town Hall, 26 Court Street, Plymouth, Mass. On Monday, September 16th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to hear the petition of NH Properties LLC requesting a special permit required per section 205-10 GC in use table to modify an existing vehicular related use per dimensional table footnote 11D to waive maximum front setback requirement to construct a detached garage with office space on the property of 693 State Road, shown as Lot 76 on Plat 45 of the Assessor's Maps, dated January 1, 2023, in a GC zone. The petitioner or his or her representative and any other person desiring to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place designated.
Who will be presenting?
Good evening. Matt Sheridan from Sheridan Home Builders. I'm here tonight with Kevin Flaherty from Flaherty and Stefani. We're representing NH Properties. I became acquainted with the owners when I was renovating my building next door at 687 State Road. Excuse me. They approached me and said they had a need for additional office space and warehousing area. So Kevin and I agreed to move forward with permitting this accessory use for them. The intended use is just for office space and storage. It's not expanding on the existing use of the minor auto repair shop that is currently being used on the property. Part of the waivers that we're asking for tonight is a setback from the 60-foot allowed on State Road back to, I think it's 260 feet from the road. That was intentional. The grade lifts up on the rear of the site, so we built the building into an existing slope, so that way it's not visible from State Road. It's going to be a one-story building. Part of our process, we actually feel we improved upon the current site. One of the recommendations from Manomet Steering Committee was if we could add a tight tank to the existing auto shop, which we did. We also improved all the drainage on the site, and we're treating all the runoff now. We have a clean letter from DPW. We have satisfied fire department, all their concerns. They've given us a clean bill of health. And we've also got favorable recommendations from steering committee and planning board. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin. He'll answer all the questions about the site, and then we're happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Mr.
Kevin Flaherty
Flaherty.
from Flaherty and Stefani. Denise, do you mind zooming in on just around the building, if you could, on that PDF? So, as Matt mentioned, we're asking two waivers from the board. There was an original 1977 special permit that authorized the minor auto mechanic. It was then modified in 1984 for a slight expansion. In conversations with the building department, we wavered back and forth whether we needed a special permit, but it was been a long time since the board's seen this project, and with the, the size of the storage building, they thought you needed to come in front of you. We're situating the building, oh, Denise, the site plan, I'm sorry, just so I don't know if you can zoom in on the PDF. So we kind of situated the accessory building kind of adjacent to it in an area that's already been cleared. We're not planning on taking any additional trees. We're leaving the buffer to the multifamily building to the north and really situating it back as far away from the street. We're asking for that waiver because we're in that Manamet Village area where they have a maximum setback of 60 feet for new construction. In a situation like this, putting the accessory building 60 feet from the layout would make no sense in this situation. And again, it would become more visible to the street. So I think planning board's opinion was that when that bylaw was put into place, it was done to kind of have more of a plaza and without having the building set back. But on an older property like this, it didn't really make too much sense. So what we have right there, we've situated the building kind of parallel with the front of the existing auto mechanics shop. There's a tree-lined buffer over to the north kind of west side of it, which goes to a multifamily apartment building. We also added a little bit of landscaping just to pad the buffer a little bit more, even though we're not disturbing it. There's currently no real drainage on site. It's all kind of a gravel, if you've been out to the site, it's all kind of disturbed and everything else is that. So we're going to put a little bit of structure to it with capturing the existing concrete pad that's there and also capturing some of the asphalt that's there while also capturing all the new asphalt that we're adding in front of the building. So we're going to be doing that through a couple of different catch basins, putting it through a water quality device, and then putting it into a new recharge system, kind of going towards State Road. And as Matt mentioned, there's an existing oil and grit separator that feeds into their existing septic system. One of the planning board members had brought it up at a steering committee meeting, and we didn't catch it at the time, but it was kind of a good fix to update and upgrade the existing building. We're also going to have another holding tank for the new building, kind of in the new parking lot. So then the building department, one of their comments, the water department want us to run a separate water line. So from a utility standpoint, we're going to have a new water line that's going to run to the building. And we're also going to put a new conforming Title V septic system in there as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, water quality. And I guess from a drainage standpoint, one of the last comments that came back from DPW was, even though we're really not modifying anything by the roadway, they still thought that from a watershed standpoint, we should do something to kind of reduce the amount of runoff going into State Road. So we added recently, and I think you have the revised plans, a rain garden to kind of capture some of the runoff that's down by that asphalt apron that's already in place. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is that building looks like, is it rental stalls? That's what it looks like.
The reason why we designed that building was, right now, the intended use isn't for rental bays, but in my experience with those buildings, to go back after the fact and modify and alter them, it's a nightmare with all the steel framing. So I actually advised NH Properties, they're better off to build the building now with anything that might happen down the road with the garage doors and the man doors.
And a second question, is that actually for repairing cars in there?
No.
When I drove in there today, there was nothing but trucks and trailers everywhere.
No, so the building that we're proposing for them is just for warehousing and storage and office space. They're not going to be doing vehicle repairs in the building
No, but I'm
we're
saying, do
proposing.
they do vehicle repairs in that building now? Or just trucks?
In the existing building, I couldn't tell you how much auto
Okay.
repair they actually do.
Okay, the only other thing I'd say is, from the street, it's disgusting driving in there. You don't even have a decent sign that gives the number, for it's an old piece of plywood or something. So you gotta
Better than
improve,
Gunner's
you gotta
Way or
improve
something
that
like that.
entryway. That's a mess.
So that actually is part of our submission, is we're gonna clean up the entryway, and when we're done, it'll look way better.
Because I think you said that, I didn't even notice this, the bottom, right by the street, that's actually pavement?
There's an existing asphalt apron
Okay.
right now.
You hardly notice that because it's covered with dirt, right? And I only say this because we approved something across from the airport years ago on Volta Oil Place over there. And they were gonna start storing trucks out back, and the people had comments about, oh, the truck's gonna track the dirt into the street. Oh, no, it's gonna be cleaned all the time.
It never got
Well,
cleaned.
it's a hole, and it's never cleaned, and it never has been cleaned. And when it's wet, and the trucks are in and out, it's just a mess. So I'm glad you're gonna fix that up some there.
Yeah, and that was part of it, because even when we had conversations, we said that, when we're presenting this, that the site had to kind of be brought to order. So I know Matt had conversations with them saying, like, this is gonna be a project that people are gonna come look at. So we wanted to make sure that this is a way that we can kind of organize the site a little bit more and start kind of bringing it up to code some places with the tight tank out back, as well as kind of touch up the site. And I think Matt's history is pretty good with, with the neighboring building and whatnot, on doing that with these sites.
One more question. You mentioned the Manomet Steering Committee.
Yes.
Did they issue anything in writing?
They
I didn't
did.
see anything.
So I think it went to planning. I haven't,
And they didn't say anything other than what you
I
alluded to?
think they said exactly what you said. I
Okay.
think they said, and I think they went out there prior to you, so there were still some things out that were kind of disturbed in the area. So they said they were happy because, again, on the neighboring property where that building had been deteriorated for a long time, Matt cleaned that up. So they kind of had the understanding that this property would be moving in that same direction. And that was kind of the approach thing. Is it gonna be, all this parts here, that type of thing? And I think the answer from us was that it's gonna be cleaned up.
So Denise, you didn't see anything from them, right? Okay. That was one of my questions, but now I know the answer. Okay, thanks.
Well, to add on to his comment, that was one of the conditions I was gonna say, that they put a permanent number on. I don't care whether it's a rock or something, because for the fire department, one. But the other thing is, so storage, not gonna be storage of any fuels, oils, and that type of stuff.
Conditions recovers that.
Or does it?
No, sir. I actually had a conversation with Dave Malaguti from Fire Department about that, and he had the same concern. And I went back to the owners and told them that if they wanted to end up storing any hazardous or combustible materials, the building would have to be sprinkled. So they are aware of it, and there's not going to be any flammable or combustible materials stored inside the building.
Okay.
See conditions, right? You're good?
And I would wanna add that they had put permanent numbering out there
Oh, yeah.
in some
Yeah,
cases.
We'll do that, but they have to anyway. Okay, so you want a fourth condition. It's gotta be anyway, but. Okay. It sounds as though, have you anything else to add?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to close this in board discussion only. Do you have anything to add?
No comments right now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Pete?
Do you need to do public comment?
I did,
Oh,
and there was none.
So it's quiet.
So I closed it. Because we got a lump on the log. Welcome back, Jason.
Wait, jump into the fire.
All right.
No, I don't have anything to add.
I await,
It's gonna get cleaned up some, that's good.
yep, I await the board's pleasure.
I will make a motion that we approve case number 4134 with, what, 5 conditions?
4 conditions. The fourth one is a street number sign.
All right, so 4 conditions.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
See attached. Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Leary and a second by Mr. O'Reilly to approve case number 4134 with 4 conditions. All those in favor? It is unanimous. Go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now, we have some, little bit of board stuff to take care of. We have some minutes for the August the 5th meeting.
Just one?
I wanted to note that on the agenda, the wrong dates for the minutes were on there. I did Wednesday instead of Mondays. So it's August 5th and August 19th. They're correct on the minutes, they're incorrect on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Shame on you.
Forgiven.
All right.
Make a motion to approve.
Well, I just have one on, Denise, on August 5th, I wasn't listed as being present.
You want what?
I'm not, you didn't have my name on it as being here on August. I was here on the 5th, not, well, maybe in my body, maybe not in mind.
Oh, no, but it says here that you seconded,
Yeah,
Oh, the 19th, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's the 19th I missed, but I was here the 5th. That's all.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other? All those in favor of approving the minutes for August 5? It is unanimous. The minutes for August 19th. Any additions, deletions, changes? I read them and I thought they were pretty darn good. Remember when we wouldn't get any?
Yeah.
We didn't get them with Peggy either. We didn't get them with Peggy, but nobody dared say anything.
Peggy was talking about you last year. She works at the Rockefeller Credit Union.
Yeah, she does.
Well, we didn't vote on it, did we?
Yes.
The 19th?
Oh, 19th. All those in favor of the 19th meeting? It's unanimous. Okay. This concludes the business of the Zoning Board of Appeals in America's hometown, Plymouth, Massachusetts. Good evening, and thank you very much.